Hello, I'm John. I'm the custodian of Corrick, and we're taking her back to her former glory. This has been another week where getting down the boat is going to look a little bit difficult, mostly because I'm out doing a little bit of training. And I thought I'd make this little clip here because we're exiting the Bewley River, having spent the night overnight, half a shandy in the Buckler's Hard Hotel last night, and it is absolutely gorgeous here. It was freezing cold overnight, but it's now, after the fog this morning, it's completely still and very lovely indeed. The joys of winter sailing.
With a 6-inch flesh arrow. Well, the main centre just on the back of it. Yeah, the bar was. They had a massive place to go. Anyway, the main centre was quite big.
So one of the things I tend to do in the middle of these courses is go through all the safety gear, and having just had to buy the entire set, as it were, in order to code the boat, I thought I might just spend a few seconds going through just exactly what we've purchased. This stuff is the sort of gear that you hope to never have to use, a bit like an airbag, but unfortunately, unlike an airbag, you do have to know the instructions for how it operates. It isn't all going to work itself by itself. So one of the things we have to have is a horseshoe. This has to have a Dan buoy with it, with a heavy weight down the bottom, floating section, and then a flag up in the top. But we also need to make sure that we've got the drogue that goes with it, and also the floating light. One of the other things that we're going to have is the throwing line. So this is out of its container, but it will then sit in there. One of the things we're going to have is the box of flares, and inside that we will have things like a red parachute flare and the handheld rockets, as well as, you can see down at the bottom there, the smokes for helicopter type rescue. One of the things that we're going to buy, and of course hope to never use, is a Liferaft, and we're going to situate it pretty much in the same position we've got here, in between the mast and the hatchway, with the hydrostatic release off to one side. This makes it very accessible, but at the same time keeps it largely out of the way of the sailing, which is better than on the foredeck, better than on the push pier. I did make a fleeting visit down to Yachting Sports, and there's a new boat in the shed, so this will take over once Corrick is finished. And there's Corrick in the background. Has been largely finished, and there's been a fair bit of work going on in terms of varnishing that up, so it's coming up to a nice colour. And what has also happened is this little deck piece here has been filled in, and the formica that we saw going on earlier has gone in there. It all just needs to be lined up. The next thing that is going to happen is that formica is going to go on there. We just have to peel this protective material away in order to make sure we get the stripes exactly lined up so it looks nice, and then do the same on the other side here. Then we finish off this locker in here. That's all been varnished, and then a little batten will go down at the back, and then that will be panelled out so the bookcase looks nice and tidy. Well, it was a really great week to be out sailing. A nice bunch of, a nice team on the boat, which is always makes things a lot easier. And I'm absolutely delighted to be back alongside before Storm Arwen hit the UK. This week it was a good week because there was a combination of good strong winds and also light airs, which allowed us to really complete the syllabus in full depth. Sometimes if there's no wind or there's too much wind, this gets pretty tricky. But it was good this week, absolutely ideal. And as described in the video, the provision of safety equipment is an important part of coding Coric for training in the future. And I remember chatting to Nick, who you met in an earlier video about this, and we agreed that one of the main difficulties would be finding enough room to put everything. But I've put an order in to get all the safety equipment. I've discussed it with the authorised person who will be doing the coding survey, and we think we have a plan that's going to work. When I was explaining the safety equipment to the guys on the boat, it was very helpful because what we were able to do is talk about how to get to it in an emergency, and as well as how it works, and that needs to fit as well. There's no point in putting all of this stuff very deep into a locker so that you can't get to it. There was also an opportunity to get down to the boat, so I took it, and it was a nice surprise to see another boat in the shed, and that's another fantastic piece of work for James and his team at Yachting Sports to work on. They've worked on it in the past, and that job will take over from Coric as Coric starts to come out. And in conversation with James, it looks like we're very much at the halfway point. The stuff that has needed to be cut out or repaired or dealt with has been done. The new stuff is now going in. We're now very much at the point where the stuff that needs to go in should just be fitted rather than having to do serious work on the boat. So the deck gear, the electronics, the water system, all needs to happen. And meantime, the cushions are starting to take shape. And now we need to start looking at some of the smaller bits and pieces, everything from crockery and cutlery to tool kits and repair kits and things like that. So that should be the focus going forward from here. I hope that you enjoyed the video.